Yer. What's up, chat? Happy, what is it, Saturday, right? Happy Saturday, February 13th. 1 day shy of V-Day, Valentine's Day. Hopefully you guys are cooking up something nice. Cupid representing in your homes. How did you guys do last night? The giant Friday night slate got chaotic. We saw some very high scores. So Luka Doncic dropped a smooth 80.5 DraftKings fantasy points. 40 minutes played, 46 real points on a double-double, two rebounds shy of a triple-double. Vooch with the number 2 score of the slate, 65. No Fournier, no Cole Anthony, no Aaron Gordon. And then throughout the night, we learned De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley were not going to be playing for the Kings. So the matchup just kind of seesawed back, and the Magic were able to hold their own there. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 65. That's just what he does. Tatum without Kemba Walker dropped nearly 60 fantasy points. A little surprised about the Pistons game was Blake Griffin was in. So Saddiq Bey comes off the bench, and you don't have to scroll down too much further to see that Saddiq Bey dropped 50 fantasy points, $3,400, 30 real points, 12 rebounds, hit 7 threes. Absolutely the best play of the night, no hands down at the end of the night. But I feel like I would have had maybe 8% of Saddiq Bey if I got news that Blake Griffin was out, but Blake Griffin played, and it just ruined it. So darn you, Blake. Randall was a tier 1 for me on FanDuel. He was in the AKs against the Wizards. Yeah, I'll take that. Those minutes against that Wizards team. Yes, please. Jokic. Terry Rozier, I guess, was a stunner. 41 real points for Terry Rozier. Hit 6 threes. Everything else, all these other names up here aren't really out of place. Kawhi, Zion. We love Zion. One of the best DVP matchups on the slate. Melo did his thing. There were really no other surprises up here. I think the one guy that stopped me from being great last night was Chris Middleton. I just had higher hopes and expectations out of him, and he had himself really just a bad game overall. The Utah Jazz ended up spanking the Bucks, earning respect game by game. I think the league, or really the casual fan, still isn't giving it to him. But Middleton, 18 real points, 38 minutes played, 4 assists. I had a lot of stock on Middleton to be over 6.5 assists as well, and he never got there. But on the Jazz side, I had a lot of stock on Mitchell getting over 5.5 assists. He hit me with that 8. But it was a super solid game. I had a lot of Ingles, a lot of Clarkson on FanDuel. And Mitchell, I had a lot of Mitchell. I was hoping for maybe a little bit more greatness, but it was fine because Ingles and Clarkson overperformed, and I was able to take a 40-plus fantasy point floor from Donovan Mitchell. But that was it. Middleton was the only guy that really didn't want me to be great. Let's open up the bang here. How you guys do last night? You guys make out? I actually got a few screenshots last night. I had a lot of you guys are really getting into parlays, man. We've been parlay dancing in the Discord, and parlays are not supposed to be profitable, but it's fun when you hit them, and it's fun for me to see some of the ones that you guys hit. And then even on Twitter, man, I saw some insane parlays last night. So I'm glad to see you guys branching out into the sports betting world, and I definitely think as sports betting becomes more accessible, it's going to be something that's rewarding the research that we're already doing, and it's a better way to hedge and spread out and diversify our daily investments for DFS, right? Let's go open up the live chat here. Shout out to you guys joining me live. It's one of those 3:30 streams where a lot of people on the air right now. So the real ones are the real ones in chat right now. What up, Pete? ACP been snapping. E-Show said he made $54 off of 20 cents last night. Nice. What up, Nade? E-Show said had Saddiq in most of the lineups. That's huge. Ben Snap said I played Bay last night and had 7. He went off last night. Okay, the last slate, he had 7 fantasy points, and then last night, yeah, that was nuts. Solid picks as I let Pritchard and my other news influence my choices. Every year. The value guard Celtic, right? Brad Wanamaker, Peyton Pritchard, Jeff Teague. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I had a little kiss of them on DraftKings. It's hard. DraftKings, they set you up for failure because you want to go studs and scrubs. I get bailed out so much on FanDuel because I do prioritize raw points at each position. It's not necessarily a tiers game, but it's close where I can win the position with raw points, and I oftentimes don't ever get near the Peyton Pritchards, the Raul Netos, the guys like that. So shout out to FanDuel for letting me do that, right? Schuler says, I had to pivot from Fox very late and it screwed me. Had to go up to Dame and down from Vooch. Yeah, that was unfortunate. The Darren Fox news. He was downgraded to questionable in the middle of the slate. And then at that point, there's not a whole lot of pivots that you can get away with. Tyrese Halliburton was a great play. But yeah, if it gets you away from Vooch, who was the second highest fantasy point scorer last night, that's tough. What up, Jim? Hey, Gun, how's it going? Could you play Curry, Durant, Dre, Green, and Noel for value? Noel, I think Noel will be the de facto value guy today. Could you play Curry, Durant, and Dre? I mean, in theory, yes, you could play them. Are you asking if you can get away with it comfortably with the rest of the lineup? I think literally everyone in the in that game is playable. That's good. That game's total is nuts. What up, Quan? Justin Jennings, man, happy Saturday. Hope you guys are doing great. You guys want to see what I'm dealing with right now? Waco, Texas temperature. You guys, I'm in Central Texas right now. This is what I'm dealing with. This is my forecast. It's 29 degrees. I'm middle of Texas, by the way. I know some of you guys are in New York laughing at me or what have you. It's not going to be above freezing temperatures here in the middle of Texas until it looks like Friday. Like it's nuts. 8 degrees, low of 8 tomorrow, low of 4. That was a low of -2 when I saw it yesterday. So people out there, they don't know what they're doing. I live on the second floor. This is ice. I'm scared. But it is freezing cold here, and it's going to stay below freezing for a friggin' week, it looks like. So y'all, stay safe. If you guys are dealing with stuff like this, stay safe. I've already seen I've seen some people sending me screenshots of them living in much more friendly temperatures right now, but it's bad right now. It's bad out here, and it's a humid freezing. You see the precipitation, we're gonna get snow, but it's just blocks of ice out there. And you already know Texas doesn't really have the equipment like some of your northern states, like the salt trucks, the snow plow, stuff like that. They ain't got that here. What are we going to do? Put a shovel on the front of a garbage truck? I don't know. But it's bad out there. So maybe if you're ordering your DoorDash or your pizzas or whatever and you're in Texas, man, be thoughtful and make it worth their while. I don't know. It's nasty. It's nasty. Get that rock salt out. I don't got rock salt. I mean, what do you think? I got some sea salt on the stove. Will that work? I don't know. Been snapping good method gun. I think you just put me on something. What, the window position on FanDuel? Yeah. I often can just write off flimsy low ceiling value anyway, just because FanDuel is a little bit easier to make stuff happen, and there's usually stronger value. Or if I'm going to punt a position, it's usually going to be one of my small forwards or power forwards. But yeah, I don't really get the dabbling with the Netos and the Pritchards and the Teagues and guys like that. Be safe out there. I mean, y'all know me. I'm chill. I'm kind of like Zach. We laid back. We don't go nowhere. We chilling. Groceries delivered. But I do feel. I looked out in the parking lot earlier, and there's a car that looks like it got completely T-boned, and I guess they dropped it off here. Looked like the airbag was deployed and everything, so it's tough. It's so icy Gucci Mane. What part of Texas? I'm from the Valley. I live in Waco, Central Texas, but obviously you guys know I'm from Staten Island, New York. I'm here now, and I'm not used to this. But when I went to Minnesota a couple weeks ago, it was in the single digits. It even got to -11. But I don't know how to explain it, but I was walking around just fine. Like, it didn't feel cold. Out here it's cold, and I'm thinking the difference is humidity, because it's still humid, and you know the air's got more moisture, and maybe that's what's making it just, I don't know. I can't explain it, but it feels colder now at 20 than it did up there at 1. I don't understand it. Anyway, did anybody try PrizePicks last night? PrizePicks, man, we got a sweet little deal hooked up with them right now. If you guys are looking to diversify your daily spend, you know, maybe those big slates where Sadiq Bey's ruining your night. Maybe you still want to play DFS. You enjoy the grind, the research. Try PrizePicks. And this is a cool alternative, I find, to, like, if you're in a state like me where you don't have access to DraftKings Sportsbooks or FanDuel Sportsbook, and you still want to bet on players, like you're doing research. Like yesterday, we knew, we knew Donovan Mitchell was going to be a better play without Mike Conley, stuff like that. You still want to reward your research in a isolated way. You could do so. Go to PrizePicks. We got a sweet little deal with them. If you sign up using code GUNDACKER, they'll actually match your deposit instantly up to $100. So if you want to throw $10 on here, they'll give you $10. So you have $20 to go out there and play with. And essentially, it's you could parlay bet prop picks, and it doesn't just have to be NBA. They have college basketball, they have college football, MMA, hockey, League of Legends. I'm gonna have to holler at Jake on that one. Tennis, NASCAR's back. I don't know what JLI is, but they have that. But like today, if we look at fantasy points, Malcolm Brogdon against Atlanta, 37 fantasy points. It's the same fantasy point scoring as FanDuel. So if you like some guys today on FanDuel, you're like, let me double down here on these guys. Let me see what they got their points listed at over there on PrizePicks. You can go over here. You can bet the over-under on their fantasy scores. And then if you want to isolate individual stats a little bit more, like yesterday, we love Zion Williamson for real points. You can do that clicking the single stat tab. And it'll allow you to isolate categories to points, assists, or rebounds. So today, let's go to assist. Really points. I mean, that game in that Brooklyn total is nuts. It's like 240 plus. So if we can go out there and grab some names out of that game. So Draymond Green, 7.5 real points. All right, we'll take a shot there. Nets have been bad against the in the paint. Steph Curry's at 32, KD's at 29. All these guys are tough to bet on. But you get the picture here. Jordan Clarkson's at 18 real points against Miami. Donovan Mitchell's at 25.5. What's Donovan Mitchell's prop bet? Because it was at 5.5 yesterday for an assist. Let me see what we got here for D Mitch. His it's at 5.5 again. So I'd probably take that without Mike Conley. He's been doing just fine. And you can load up a card up to 5. And let me just click random stuff here and kind of show you what I'm talking about. So if I picked up to 5 and you could bet over unders, and I place all the bets, they'll allow me to have a flex payout, which allows you to still cash out even if you miss one. But if you make all 5 correctly, it'll give you 10x your entry here. If you make 4, it'll give you 2x, and 3 is 0.4x. So this is kind of the softer way to do it. If you just run 4 picks, it'll offer you the flex play again, but it also offers you the power play, and this is where you can really channel your parlay love. You can get all 4 right and get 10x. So if I put $20 on that and all 4 hit, I would get 200 back. And I think that's cool. Sometimes you get better odds on a sports book, but sometimes you can find really soft lines here. It's a lot of this mimics what the DraftKings player props on the DraftKings Sportsbook is, but they adjust a lot slower, I've noticed. So if some news happens, somebody gets ruled out, I definitely like to have this tab up and try and go take advantage of that. So y'all check it out. Code GUNDACKER gets you up to $100 instantly on your initial deposit. And they also, when you do that, it's another way to support this stream because they they support us. So go check that out. Cold Cats. Okay, I don't know why I just got a message from NBA Top Shot on something I submitted what feels like 2 weeks ago. Anyway, let's open up the slate here. Let's shut that down. There we go. We're back. We're back in the saddle. Texas cold. Yeah, Texas is cold, Rashad. What's going on? What's up, Lorenza? We can't see it. Oh yeah, you can't see it. Oh, I just did all that and you never could see it. I'm an idiot. I don't think we can play PrizePicks up here in Mass. So there are a couple states where you can't play PrizePicks. When you sign up, it'll let you know. Basically, I think if you could play DraftKings or FanDuel, for the most part, you should have access to PrizePicks. They sent me the full list of states, but it is widely accepted. But yeah, it's not in every single state. Dang, I really just did the screen share pick stuff, and you guys couldn't see it, but it's all right. We'll talk about it again later. Ben says, would you pivot from Noel and go top end? We'll chop that game up here. Let me see. Let me peek over at the Discord. No one. All right, we are getting a little bit of news. Let me open up Fantasy Labs here. We'll start talking about today's slate just a little bit. Man, I really thought the screen was on. And see if there's any news pertaining to today's slate over here on Labs. Looks like we got some news for tomorrow. They usually drop a 3 p.m. tweet. And here it is. John Wall probable, PJ Tucker questionable, Mike Conley to be determined, Cam Reddish probable, and then immediately after that, Mike Conley rolled out. I think that's it. I think for 4 games, we shouldn't be sitting on a whole lot of news on that. Neil says, can you deposit, withdraw via PayPal and PrizePicks? Well, you can definitely. I feel like I deposited with PayPal. You may not be able to withdraw with PayPal, but don't quote me on that one. I have a debit card associated with my PayPal. Don't quote me on that one. I don't want to mislead somebody on that one. You may not be able to. I don't know. If somebody else in chat knows, let me know, or let chat know. What up, Young C? All right, y'all ready to talk some basketball? It is a late lock tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, instead of the 7 o'clock start time. 4 games should be easy to keep our thumb on everything. Game number 1, Indiana Pacers at the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks, tough night last night. Project starting 5 for the Pacers: Malcolm Brogdon, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Domantas Sabonis, and Miles Turner taking on Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish Jr., John Collins, and Clint Capella. 224.5 total, 1.5 point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. Last night, Trae Young and the Hawks, man, they kind of fell flat, real flat. At one point, I looked up, they were down over 40 points. Ended up a final score of 114 to 125. San Antonio put it on them. 23 minutes for Trae Young last night, 30-plus fantasy points. Outside of that, every game that was neutral, Suns, this 41 fantasy point game against Dallas, we're getting foul trouble in the first half. It's been 50-plus fantasy points. So I'm willing to have goldfish memory on Trae Young and get some exposure to him tonight. Hopefully last night just kind of was a wake-up call, and they come out firing a lot better tonight. And Trae Young at under 10K has 50-plus fantasy point potential on him. John Collins, there's reports floating around that they are actively shopping him for a trade, and we've seen some strong games out of him. I did sort the team DVP chart to just teams on today's slate today. And Indiana is one of the better matchups on the slate at rewarding opposing power forwards via fantasy points, and so is the Atlanta Hawks. So it's not a crazy thought to fire John Collins at Sabonis and Miles Turner. Wouldn't be something I'm like overly aggressive with, but at 7-3 on a slate this small, you guys know that the approach is a little bit different than the 11-game slate from last night, where raw points mean a little bit more. We're going to have to play guys today that maybe aren't projected pre-flop for 6+ X value. That's just the way it is. That's how these small slates go. So if you think you can get some solid raw points out of John Collins as one of the highest projected minute players from the Atlanta Hawks, I got him at 35, then I'll definitely definitely get down with some exposure to him. And Clint Capella's in a spot as well. I got him for less minutes, but we've seen him double-double with high amounts of block potential. And I think Miles Turner and Clint Capella are two guys that will be extremely block happy today. Miles Turner being on the south side of 6K on DraftKings just has my eyes perk up because I do think 30-plus fantasy points is in the wheelhouse. He dropped 29 in 24 minutes against the Detroit Pistons. Wasn't some foul trouble, but that game ended up just, not needing his court time. I don't know that I project him much more than 30 minutes, but I do think per minute Miles Turner would be great. Sabonis plays more at the center spot than Miles Turner does, but he's 9K, and I love me some Sabonis, and I'm going to be stuck on Sabonis and Malcolm Brogdon handcuffs, but if you guys are rostering Sabonis at 9K, you absolutely have to do some meditation because it's probably going to cost you someone from the Brooklyn and Golden State game, and just to look a little bit ahead, this game is sitting on a 245.5 total. So that game's projected to put up a lot of real points, almost 20 more real points in that game than this one. So if you think a Sabonis is worth it, and it might cost you a KD or somebody like that, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. It is something that you're going to have to accept when you do roster him. I definitely think, I'm looking at chat, I see Quan say this is the pivot game. I definitely think it could be the pivot game. I mean, Brogdon and Sabonis, I love the handcuff, and then it doesn't, I don't think it's crazy for a third pacer to slide in at these prices and be a solid play. Justin Holiday is uncomfortable at over 5K. We did see him draw the start over Jeremy Lamb, and then if Jeremy Lamb's going to come off the bench and assume some greater opportunity and usage, I don't think he's a crazy shot. And then TJ McConnell. I mean, 5K for TJ McConnell just sounds insane, but there is a range of outcome for TJ to come out here and drop over 30 fantasy points because we've seen it a couple of times lately. 32, 27, 35, 29, 30. And like I said, I know usually I look at a guy and be like, oh, but he needs to get me 30. Well, on today's slate, if you can get value, I'll take the value. He's a little bit of a do-it-all guy. Might go out here in 5x5 one of these days. 7 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, a block, and 2 steals against Detroit. Atlanta's definitely a team I think he could be a little bit scrappy against. So if the minutes are going to be there for McConnell, I think the opportunity for him to be a solid play in deep field tournaments, I think it's there. So I'd have some TJ if I'm running 100+ lineups. And then on the Hawks side, I have 7 guys right now projected out over 20 minutes. The injury list is plentiful. With looks like Cam Reddish is going to be down. Let me pull up the official injury report. NBA. I keep putting up Roto World, and I keep forgetting they changed it to Sports Edge. But the story here is the Hawks look like they could be short when it comes to bodies on the bench. So we pull up the Atlanta Hawks. Rondo is going to be out. Cam Reddish Jr. is now probable. He's in the starting lineup. Yep. Brandon Goodwin, right knee stiffness is now probable. Kevin Huerter's probable. We know Bogdanovich done out. DeAndre Hunter still out. Tony Snell questionable. Not that we'd ever play Tony Snell, but he could represent 20+ minutes to make to spread out. He's dealing with a right Achilles, and I got him at 21 minutes. So keep an eye on that. I would never play him, but I would be wondering where those minutes go. And Danilo Gallinari, they've expanded his limit to 30 minutes. Not that that's much of a limit off the bench. At 4K on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings. If I can get 25 out of them on this slate, I'd probably use that as a stocking stuffer for value and go from there, right? See what you guys got in the live chat before we move on to the next one. What up, Josh Clemente? Let's get baseball started. Oh, less than a week. Spring training kicking off, man. I love me so. I miss baseball. I gotta come up with a content plan. Caesar says you can deposit with PayPal, but when I withdrew, it asked me to provide the bank account info once they approve the amount to be drawn. Yeah, okay. So you can deposit with PayPal, but you can't. All right. Give me Reddish, Herder, Collins says Lorenza. I'm with that. What's up, Crispy? D. Mitch and Gobert handcuff. I'm with that. Earth to Air. What's up? I love. It says what up, gun, but for me, it's a water pistol. So like, it's like censorship on emojis. Man, seeing that price tag next to Gallo is kind of something I can get to. TJ's a lock on a small slate. A Raymond Felton threat. There's a name. 10-10-10. German says Irving Boogie or Trey Turner. Trey Turner, not to be confused with Trey Turner. Probably Irving Boogie from where I'm standing now, but I think that is a literal coin flip. No way I can place the bonus. I need the Nets Warriors. That's the sacrifice. But Sabonis does have 50-plus fantasy point potential. Has he played against the Hawks this season? Let me pull up. He has not. I can pull up the last five as well. Just kind of, it's a bonus, y'all. If Sabonis playing 40 minutes, probably want a little bit. Minutes for the Atlanta Hawks. Last 5 games. Any surprises here? Gallo's averaging 22 minutes a game last 5 games. Solomon Hill's averaging 17 minutes last 5 games. I don't think I'm getting to Solomon Hill here. I think it's the obvious plays. Give me a touch of Trey. I'd be considering John Collins here, and then I'm at the Brogdon slot machine, man. Brogdon's the homie, dude. I was gladly paying over AK for him. Last couple games, I've been really bullish on Brogdon exposure. 7.5, 7.4, 7.6. He's back at 7.5. The shot volume's still there. Hit a couple more shots. Just a few peripherals away from double-double bonuses. I'm going back to the Brogdon well here at 7.5. That could just be the slot machine mentality taking over for me, but I don't want to miss. I can't miss. I don't want to miss it. What's up, Shane? FanDuel tournament, do I go with Ingles or Gallo? Probably Ingles right now. Probably Ingles. He doesn't have a minutes restriction. It's and without Mike Conley, he's been pretty good for the Utah Jazz, and he'll also do some ball handling at times. Taj Gibson looking good tonight. Okay, UFC 258 matchup between Jillian Robertson and Miranda Maverick is off. Schulier, how on earth does one pay down at center on FanDuel? Does it have to be Kelly Olynyk? Let's move on to the next game here. New York Knicks hosting our Houston Rockets. Project starting 5 for the Rockets. John Wall, Eric Gordon, Jayshawn Tate, PJ Tucker, DeMarcus Cousins taking on Elfrid Payton, Reggie Bullock, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Nerlens Noel. Yesterday, Mitchell Robinson broke his hand. My man was on track to being the best play on the slate, by the way. Mitchell Robinson, and pull up what he had. I know we were talking about. It was funny in the Discord. John was he took him over 0.5 assists, and he got it in the first quarter. So I guess he caught a rebound and dished it. But I'll pull up this Knicks game. By the way, we talked about the Knicks blowing out the Wizards yesterday on the stream. That 1-point spread was almost laughable. But Mitchell Robinson played 20 minutes, 34 fantasy points. Had he, come out in that second half and finished to 30-plus minutes, there was a great chance Mitchell Robinson was on his way to 10x value. So I definitely feel for those of you that had Mitchell. It was a lucky scenario where a guy gets injured and still hit value, but he was absolutely on his way to break in the slate. But today it looks like Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson will probably have to split those minutes here. Gibson being the elder statesman of the two, Noel younger, so I'd probably put a little bit more minutes on Noel. I got him pegged right now at 27 minutes. I think Nerlens Noel on both sides will be probably one of the trendiest players in terms of ownership. We get it. It's a value big. We love bigs to just go out there and get the peripherals and get us, 20 fantasy points. I got him at 27 FanDuel points, 24 DraftKings points. I'll take that all day, every day on a short slate, and that's going to be a piece of glue to get some of these stud names from the Warriors and Nets. I got no pushback on that, and favorably so, Nerlens Noel is a power forward on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I think he might just be a center. He is. So on FanDuel, I think he's even higher owned than he is on DraftKings, if that's correct. Well, maybe not, because there's not really... I just think he might be the highest owned player on the slate. On DraftKings, there's not like a center-only guy that we need to lock in. So, yeah, he'll probably just be the highest owned player across the board on every site today. And I got no argument against it. The Houston Rockets will be without Victor Oladipo. So, John Wall, 7'5", 7'2". If you don't want to take another shot on Malcolm Brogdon, John Wall's in there, projected for 40-plus fantasy points. Looking to keep the Rockets in this one. Him and Boogie make a nice handcuff. PJ Tucker does have a Q tag on him, kind of like Tony Snell. I'm not interested in playing PJ Tucker, but he does represent some minutes if he's unable to give it a go. His injury is a thigh contusion. He was unable to return to Thursday's game, and he was held out of Friday's practice. He's as tough as they come, but he's also on the trade block, which means the Rockets could be extra cautious. If he can't play, Daniel House could spend some time at the 4 in a solid matchup. So watch out for Tucker being out. Daniel House is actually more expensive than Tucker. That should tell you a lot. But Daniel House is already somebody I have projected at 30 minutes. So it might even be a spot where those minutes go up if Tucker doesn't play or if they limit him. This matchup actually features two teams that are higher than you might think when it comes to defensive efficiency. If I go to defensive rating in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet in the team metrics chart, the New York Knicks have the 4th best defensive efficiency, and the Houston Rockets the 5th best. Ever since Harden moved on, their defense kind of stepped it up. The caveat with that is their offensive rating sucks, so it's kind of masking the fact that they have been playing solid defense. So I do expect this game to be lower scoring, and I think a 213 total kind of implies that Vegas is in that same boat. But I still think there's guys worth playing here because of the minutes, because of the usage. I think DeMarcus Cousins against Nerlens Noel or Julius Randle, I'd take some of that on both sides, 6'2", 6'5", without Victor Oladipo. Maybe you put the guard narrative on him, sure, why not? I think he's a little too cheap. I think he'll rise to decent ownership on both sides. Probably not pushing the limits of minutes here, but if there was a scenario where Tucker was out, maybe you can make the case that you got to push to near 30 minutes for Boogie. I think per minute he's been fine. There was a pair of blowouts in the Charlotte and New Orleans games, and then he curtain called in one of the toughest matchups statistically against the Miami Heat and did his thing. Just out of curiosity, in that Miami game, I'd like to see some fourth quarter Boogie. Boogie, yeah, he played in the fourth quarter. In the previous two games, he didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter. So that makes me think that his minutes will be safe. And then without Oladipo, little extra uses to go around. So I think at 6K on both sides, I'm a buyer. And I think on FanDuel, I can see a lot of lineups that are foundationed by Nerlens Noel, DeMarcus Cousins, and I would assume that's where the field is a lot. Eric Gordon's a guy I think I might end up playing more than I normally would like to. He's been somewhat solid here when one or the other is out for Wall and Depot. If you look at his game log, a puncher's chance at 30 fantasy points, that's been there. I'll take a shot here on this slate, trying to get those minutes and opportunity. I probably have a little bit more Jordan Clarkson infatuation just because I like Clarkson's role off the bench to just be a little bit more ball hoggy, but I'm still there on Gordon to be kind of one of the mid-range options for me. And I could see myself not having much John Wall, just knowing at that 7K range, I personally am a little bit more infatuated by Malcolm Brogdon. And then, of course, we got the high-end guards on the slate, the Currys, the Kyries, and the Hardens, guys like that. So that's my thoughts on the Rocket side. On the Knicks side, I think Julius Randle is still very playable, 8.6 and 8.7, high 30s, maybe 40 minutes. Can't really see his minutes go down without Mitchell Robinson. You could argue it's a back-to-back, and maybe on a surprise occurrence, when the score gets lopsided. But I think our Julius Randle's minutes are just too high to not have exposure to. I had him tier 1 last night. The Wizards matchup was a much faster pace, worse defense, but I'm still there to muscle out a shot at 40 to 50 fantasy points here from Randle. And then Derrick Rose, I don't know if I'm trusting him on a back-to-back. The minutes were, around 20-ish. He was very, very, very efficient in those minutes, but I'm probably not going to spin the wheel, make a deal on this bench. I do think there's a loose case for Taj Gibson at bare bones min price on either site. Not something I'm overly enamored with. I think it's a safer play than a value guard, but I'm pretty much just going to stick with Noel for the most part. Chat, you guys got any gems from this one other than Randle, Noel, Gordon, Boogie? I see some Jayshawn Tate curiosity in the chat. Shane says D Rose is my lock today. I definitely want to play. I want the thought. I like the thought of wanting to play Derrick Rose, but I don't know if I put that into practice just yet. 48. He's only seen 20 and 20 minutes. I thought the 20 minutes in game 1 was to ease him in, and then last night we saw 20 minutes, and now I'm wondering if that's his role until he does maybe pull the rug out from a Elfrid Payton, because they still have Emmanuel Quickley, they still have Alec Burks. They still have Austin Rivers, even though I think he's completely out the rotation in neutral games. They still have a lot of guards, and I don't know that I trust Derrick Rose, especially on a back-to-back, to really break that 20-minute threshold or 20-minute threshold, or go much further than that. If he gets a little bit cheaper, though, I'm a buyer, but it's gonna be tough. Don't laugh. What about Derrick Rose for value? So that's the thing. I don't know that he's necessarily value, right? 5.2 on FanDuel, 4.8. So at 5.2, I'm a stone's throw from Eric Gordon. I'll probably just go get that. At the point guard spot, is it crazier to like TJ McConnell than Derrick Rose? Maybe. Like I said, yesterday's matchup was as pure as it comes against that Wizards defense. Rockets are a little different. Ben Snapper says Tate's nice. I never play him. I should play him on tonight for real. Boogie or Draymond? Ooh, probably Draymond for minutes and just a higher total, more possessions. I just hope he keeps his mouth shut and doesn't get kicked out. I like Brown with no Oladipo with some Tate. P, what do you think about Brown? All right, let's move on to the next game here. Brooklyn Nets at the Golden State Warriors. Project starting five for the Nets: Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and Jeff Green taking on Steph Curry, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, Juan Toscano-Anderson, and Draymond Green. We got a 245.5 total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the Brooklyn Nets. Essentially a track meet that should put up a ton of real points, which in turn should put up a ton of fantasy points. KD back. I don't think it's called the Oracle anymore, is it? Or I don't know. Back against his old team, Golden State. James Harden in the mix, Kyrie in the mix. Like, this game has all the star-studded power, and I think a lot of people, when this trade happened, like, this is one of the matchups that they were dreaming about. Obviously, if Klay Thompson was in the mix, I'd be even more enamored with what happens. But nonetheless, process-wise, on a 4-game slate, this game has 20-plus more real points projected than any other game, and probably could push 30-plus to 40-plus if things just went chaotic. And so there's really not anyone that you can pick from either starting lineup that I'd be like, nah, don't do that. On the Brooklyn Nets, with DeAndre Jordan projected out, and this game probably stays small ball no matter what, Jeff Green is a really fun play for 30 minutes. If he peripherals his way at 4,500 on FanDuel. By the way, I mean this in a FanDuel sense. They have Nick Claxton down. They have DeAndre Jordan down. I guess Reggie Perry and Noah Vonleh are technically there, but I don't know that. Like, I think Jeff Green is the small ball center that they just lean on here. And on FanDuel, Jeff Green is a power forward, so you could technically get away with maybe a Jeff Green, Nerlens Noel lineup and just hope that those two combine for like 40 plus fantasy points, and that gives you a little bit of salary to invest in the Hardens, the Currys, the Kyries, guys like that. And even KD is listed as small forward here, so I like that as well. And I think that might be an approach that I do. It would come with sacrificing maybe a Randall or Sabonis or somebody like that, but it still gets you that access to those big guys. And then Draymond's at a very uncomfortable 7.6K, but his role and his minutes, everything has looked a little bit more vintage lately. So I understand if you want to get there. I'm not that in love with going that route, but I think it's possible. I think Wiggins and Oubre, one of those two, are going to have to step up scoring-wise today. It can't just be Steph Curry. So I'll have a liberal amount of both. And like I said, if you can end up with a lineup that has 5-6 players from this game, I got no quarrels, no pushback on it. It's a short slate. This looks like the gold mine. Juan Toscano-Anderson on both sites. I think he's playable. I'm not pushing the issue at 5K on FanDuel with Eric Pascal back in the mix. I could see him getting crossed up with like a KD or something like that, maybe getting foul trouble. So I'm going to have tapered expectations and restricted ownership exposure to Toscano. But Oubre, Wiggins, Curry, a touch of Draymond, and then in the Brooklyn Nets, I would probably say I have all of the projected 5 starters in the pool. I could see myself capping and limiting Joe Harris. I do think Joe Harris is in a really good spot, but even with 18 to 20 real points, it doesn't necessarily mean he becomes a great fantasy play, as he's kind of their JJ Redick, right? I don't really expect a whole lot of peripherals to back up a high scoring game. 2 assists per game, 3 rebounds per game. So even if he did have 20 to 24 real points, it doesn't mean that he was a great play. So yeah, that's it. Chad, is there any, like, you guys have been researching, maybe looking at this game a little longer than I have. Was there any diamonds in the rough here? Shane says, if you don't play KD, get out of DFS. They sent Perry down. All right, so then I guess it would. I don't know if they got Norvell Pell or I don't know. I'm not playing any of those guys. I know they signed Noah Vonleh, but even he's somebody I don't even know that they would be. Steve Nash be looking at quickly. KD likes revenge. I don't think KD is thinking of this like that. Maybe Toscano Anderson's pretty good. You like that? Mundo's World. Yo, Gun Turner or Cousins? I'm probably on Boogie here. I think that game slowing the pace down a little bit, help Boogie out, keep his wind up. No Oladipo, so him and Wall going to have to pick up some slack. Turner, somebody, I like the spot and the idea of Turner, but I'm probably on Boogie there. I guess the question, chat, here, maybe I'll throw it at you guys. Rank the Nets in terms of not raw points, but in terms of points per dollar and who's the better DFS play. So give me your first, second, third, where you're going to put your priority on KD, Harden, Kyrie. If I'm reading the room, it sounds like KD's one for y'all. Where are you going on Harden and Kyrie? Kyrie at 9.2. I think the conversation of him versus Trae Young is a fascinating one. And then James Harden is right. I mean, if he was 9.9K, we'd be all over him. But $400, $500 more, we got that supermarket mindset here where it doesn't feel like it's a fantastic deal. And I have him projected for more fantasy points than KD on both sites. Not much, a couple decimals. So give me your 1, 2, 3 on the big 3 from the Nets. And then let's put on off court tool query for the Nets and just see so far this season how they've done together while on the court together. But we know that they're going to stagger, but just out of curiosity, Kyrie, Harden, KD, where you at, KD? Put them on the court together. And then let's take off. I guess there wouldn't be any sample for Jared Allen. Let's take off DeAndre Jordan. One thing I'm wondering here, and this is kind of for the prop bet and StatMuse thoughts, and maybe we'll look at StatMuse. With the 87 minutes of these guys on together, KD leads at 28.8% usage. Kyrie's at 27, and Harden's at 22. So Harden has the lowest usage, but they're all 1.2, 1.3 fantasy point per minute. There is no one at a 20% rebound rate. And I was wondering, if we take off DeAndre Jordan, is there an exploitable rebound prop? So let's go back over to PrizePicks just out of curiosity. And you guys can play along if you guys are just tuning in. If you sign up with PrizePicks using code GUNDACKER, they will match you up to $100 on your initial deposit. You don't have to spend $100. You could put $10. They'll put $10 with you. But I'm wondering if maybe there's an undervalued rebound prop here. So KD's at 8.5, James Harden's at 7.5, and Kyrie's at 5. So it doesn't feel soft, but Harden's averaging 7 rebounds per game. KD's averaging 7.4, and Kyrie. So Harden's already averaging 7 rebounds per game. Maybe this pace and the fact that they're without, DeAndre Jordan, maybe there's a couple rebounds extra there for Harden. So I might take a stab at the Harden rebound prop. And then let's go back to the on-off court tool here. Does anybody's assist rate go really, really high? James Harden's at 40% assist rate. And on the season, Harden's averaging 11 assists per game. That's probably where they'd put the line on Harden, but let's go double check. Assists for Harden at 10.5. So he's averaging 11, and he has a 40% assist rate already with those 3 in the mix. And they're implied to score 120 plus real points. I might gamble on James Harden getting that over 10.5. So if you guys want to sweat that with me, a couple of those picks, try it out. You can do it on your own sports book if you have DK Sportsbook or FanDuel like that. But if you guys want to parlay some player props and add to your research that you're already doing for DFS, go check it out. PrizePicks.com. Code GUNDACKER. They'll match you up to $100 instantly. Not slow drip. You don't have to deposit 50 and then play that 50, and then they give you $1 at a time. As soon as you deposit, that other stuff is credited in your account right away. Now, I asked you guys for your top 3 nets. See what you got. Solid picks is Durant, Green, Harden. You got Jeff. So no Kyrie for you. Okay, going up to Curry for Kyrie. All right. KD's for sure number 1. Gun, please StatMuse KD versus Westbrook. I didn't look yet. I mean, I'm sure it's great. I'm not sure how that's necessarily correlated to today. DKP by game log versus Russell Westbrook last 10 games. Someone's going to tune in and be like, what? This guy's dumb. 50 pluses. Guys, this isn't some this is not the Westbrook situation. So don't, I know it's a revenge, but come on. It's not. Irving 2. Bazemore's going to play lots of minutes tonight. Shane says KD's a lock. I'm with you guys on the KD love. I think KD's big man peripherals can only go up as well. You might even see some lineups where KD's playing center. And nobody is equipped here on the Warriors team to kind of stop KD. So I do like a shot at KD's rebound prop too. That's what I might do on FanDuel. KD and Green for me, running it back with Steph and Oubre. Kelly Oubre. Why can't I quit you? Yeah, like I said, I think either Oubre or Wiggins will have to be a great play in addition to Steph if this game's going to live up to the hype. Kelly Oubre is a beautiful man, by the way. Just putting out that 10 rebounds in back-to-back games for Oubre. Do we have some rebound props here for these supplementary Warriors players? Because the Nets aren't a fantastic rebounding team as it is. I wonder if there's some juice on a Oubre. I don't see Oubre listed here. That would have been fun. Got Draymond. Draymond's at 6.5. Wiggins at 5.5. Curry's at 5.5. I must have scrolled over Oubre. They got everyone but Oubre. Am I blind? Wiggins 5.5. Draymond 6.5. Yeah, I guess they don't have Oubre listed. That's interesting. Is Wiggins gonna pick up a couple of balls off the beam? Seven boards for him last game. Yeah, okay. Draymond. Are you guys paying 7.6K for Draymond Green? Is this another 40-plus fantasy point game on FanDuel? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer pre-flop. I'm just kind of wondering where your confidence level is on Draymond. 37-31. The 38 came against Golden State, nearly a triple-double. And then the 57 came with 7 steals. So it's 7.6K. Thinking about lineup construction on today's slate, I absolutely have to get 40+. But pre-flop, I'm also thinking power forward might be the highest, the best value position, right? If I go Noel, if I build my foundation of Noel, Jeff Green, and then I put Boogie at the center spot to just kind of give me a mid-tier foundation of my lineup, that's going to open up 75-50 for the rest. And I already know there's probably going to be like a Wiggins or an Oubre at 6K or less, and then it'll give me access to the KD. Let's see, KD at 10K. Do I want Harden? Do I want Curry? We'll probably run Curry at KD. Curry's 11K. Jesus. And is this going to be everyone's bottom three? Noel, Green, Boogie. I don't know. I feel like that, because Noel and Green probably project the best value to me, I don't think I'm playing Draymond Green at 7+K on FanDuel. I just don't think I'm doing it. Oubre is a beautiful man. Katie's never rusty. Play him. Yeah, I love Katie. DK price on Dre looks better. On DraftKings for sure. And plus, he's a little bit more versatile on where you can play him, right? He's a forward as well. Under 7K, you're going to get rewarded for a double-double if it happens. Forward, center, so you can play him in 4 spots. Playing Draymond, total's too high, fast pace. I get it. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm just wondering where you guys are in your risk tolerance on that price point. Garrett Mendenhall, 6.7K on DraftKings. I like Draymond. All right. It seems like I would agree with him being a better DraftKings play. On FanDuel, I might be out and just go for the value. Lance, Trae Young and Durant, or Curry and Randall? Ooh. I'm willing to forgive Trae Young. I think Trae Young, goldfish memory in DFS is what you gotta employ in practice. And if he lives at 50, man, he really does. Last night it's a blowout. What are you gonna do? Bad game against Dallas. Bad first half. What are you gonna do? Still over a point per minute, but it's a sea of 50s. Steph Curry's gonna cost you a lot more on FanDuel, it looks like, than he is on Trae. So on DraftKings, I'd probably still want Curry over Trae. Even on FanDuel, it's $600. So I want Curry over Trae if I can get it. But then Durant and Randall. So it's Trae. Oh, man. What I want is Curry and Durant there, Lance. So it's a Durant or Randall. Oh, man. Probably Trae Young and Durant in that 2v2, but I would love Curry and Durant instead. Anyway, let's talk about the next game, the last game on the docket. Before we do that, take a pause for the cause. Hey, in 8 minutes, I'll be in the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, shooting the breeze. Today's going to be a little bit more laid back, just 4 games, easy Saturday. It sounds like there's UFC on the docket tonight. Might be guys chatting about that, talking some of our favorite picks, bets, player props. If you guys want to be part of that conversation or you just want to listen in, go to RunDFS.com. Make yourself an account. Check out the VIP passes. Get signed up. We have week pass, 2-week pass, month pass, and then the year pass is still available. When you do that, it'll instantly unlock the VIP forums, click forums, go down to VIP threads, the onboarding thread. That'll have a link to the Discord. Get in the Discord, and also have a link to the proprietary spreadsheets. That'll give you access to what what we've been using throughout the duration of the stream. And then I'll also be working on my personal player pool, my tier 1s, 2s, 3s on both DraftKings and FanDuel. You'll have access to my player projections for FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo, and also our title sponsor, PrizePicks. You get access to what I got over there for fantasy point projections, and then PRA and 3 points made, stuff that you can also bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook. So if you guys are looking for a solid DFS community plant yourself into, I definitely encourage you guys to come check us out. Got a really nice roster going on. I'll brag on a few people real quick. Jake, he won 100K on the final day of last year's regular season. Always be placing Won the Millionaire Maker a couple months ago. I think it was November, maybe December. So we literally got millionaires from DFS in our Discord. A. Dean's won the 100K. We've got several guys that banked the single entries mid stakes. We still got quarter arcade grinders, so it's not just the big spenders. And of course, you guys know my resume. So if you guys are looking for a nice community to plant yourself into and get in where you fit in, we'd love to have you. And today's a great day to jump in chat, introduce yourself, and make some new friends, because there's not going to be much to talk about. It's really not today, unless some news happens. I think this slate's really going to be more about lineup construction and correlation, and just hoping that it all the chips land correctly. Main event tonight: Miami Heat at the Utah Jazz. Project starting 5 for the Heat: Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy G buckets, Kelly Olynyk, Bam Adebayo taking on Donovan Mitchell, Jingle, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert. We got a 215.5 total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the home team, Utah Jazz. Arguably the best team in NBA. Hello, Shaq. But absolutely dominant at the house, and they sent the Bucks home packing last night without Mike Conley. So look for them to try and continue to protect the turf. Miami Heat have been limping along, but they still got some scrappers. Jimmy Butler, 9K on FanDuel, 8.3K on DraftKings. I think that price is really nice. Bars. He has been living at 44 fantasy points or greater, 58, 56 his last 2 games, and his price is still at 83. Like, it really has not moved, and ever since coming back on January 30th, he's not gotten you less than 44 fantasy points. So Jimmy Butler might cost you one of the guys from the Warriors and Nets, but he could arguably replicate their type of fantasy point production at a cheaper cost. And as long as they're going to be without Goran Dragic, or if they're going to be in close games, I think we project him for high minutes, high usage. He did triple-double in that last game. In his last 2 games, he's flirted with a triple-double. So against the Utah Jazz, I think if they're going to stay somewhat competitive, I think Jimmy Butler's got to play up, show out, and I like him. I like him a lot at 8,300 on DraftKings. So keeping him on the mind here. FanDuel's a little harder to be in love, because I do think we want to prioritize KD just a little bit more. But there is a range of outcomes where Butler matches within, 6 fantasy points of KD. That's what we're looking for per 1,000. That's 6 to 8 fantasy points. I think Butler has a case there. And there's spin the wheel 100 times, simulate these 2 games. Every now and then, Jimmy Butler outscores KD, and that percentage, if you put that percentage into your ownership of him on 100 lineups, maybe it comes through. And then, heck, maybe you have some Jimmy and KD lineups up there that help you get there at the end of the night. Nice little late-night hammer, Jimmy buckets. Past Jimmy on the Miami Heat, there's not a whole lot to love. I do think in these more grindy, scrappier games. Maybe Bam Adebayo surprises some people. Gobert's defense is top-notch. Another season where he's got a campaign for DPOY, but we've seen some spots this season where centers have kind of stunned him. We saw Jared Allen do it. We saw Jokic do it. Adebayo's not Jokic. But if I put 35-plus minutes on him and everyone's trying to punt center today, at the end of the night, we look up and Adebayo's got a 50. I think that's still a range of outcome that maybe we accept. Tyler Hero is at 5,800 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. One thing I think that did help Jimmy Butler that I should at least concede is that Tyler Hero was a surprise scratch that last game. Due to health and safety protocols. He ended up getting cleared now, so he's good to go for this game. Maybe if Hero plays that game, Jimmy doesn't play as many minutes, but I still think Jimmy's minutes are going to be high regardless. Tyler Hero being back in the mix, maybe we take some stabs on him as that 6K, 5K guard range. Guys like Jordan Clarkson, Eric Gordon, and now Tyler Hero. So maybe Hero would be a fun late-night hammer because I got him for the second to third most minutes on the team. Him and Kendrick Nunn kind of neck and neck. On the Jazz side, Donovan Mitchell, 8-3 on FanDuel, 8-1 on DraftKings without Mike Conley again. I think this is another spot where as he succeeds, the Jazz will succeed, although last night Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson were better plays. And I don't think it's crazy to play all those three guys again. I would say the Milwaukee Bucks bring a much different style of basketball to the table. They are one of the fastest teams in the league. And, of course, their offensive efficiency is nuts. So if we look at that pace tab in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Milwaukee is up there, top 10 in pace. And now the Miami Heat are, flirting with bottom 10 in pace. So I think the end result, the final score, is going to be a lot lower here. I don't really put the Jazz on 140 real points here. So if we take off 20, 30 points off of that, I still think Donovan Mitchell is a guy that can float at the top here and thrive just as well. And without Mike Conley, I think he has a strong shot at 40-plus fantasy points. Is there a world tonight where we stay away from the 10K guys and these 8K guys, the Randalls, the Donovan Mitchells, the Jimmy Butlers? Like, if we get that contrarian, can we still live to talk about it tomorrow? Does that win? Maybe, but I don't think I'm going to get that creative tonight. We'll see. But Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson, give me both of those. I think Jordan Clarkson on FanDuel still being on the south side of 5K at the shooting guard spot. I'm going to be leaning on that quite liberally. I just think 25 to 35 fantasy points is his typical window in a normal game. And then you take out Mike Conley, you put Joe Ingles on the starting unit. Clarkson off the bench has the opportunity to just chuck all the shots. 15-plus shot attempts off the bench, I think, is a reasonable projection for him. Last night took 15 shots the game before, 19. So the shot volume will be there, and I don't think that I'm going to be overly concerned on the matchup here. So at that price point on FanDuel, I'll be really, really high on Clarkson. And then, like I said, Rudy Gobert versus Adebayo. These guys are going to be priced out of a lot of lineups tonight. You might get either at 15 or less % on a 4-game slate. I think that'll give you a chip in a chair for greatness, and they both have it in them. Last night we saw Gobert go bananas, and as fast as the Bucks run, the guys that usually don't thrive against the Bucks are centers, and last night Gobert was absolutely somebody that thrives, one of the best plays on the slate. So maybe don't forget about his existence. Chat, you guys got any sneaky plays from this game? Otherwise, any lasting questions, comments, concerns about the entire slate, throw them at me. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes, and then I do have to get over to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord. But like I said, it's going to be a laid-back Cadillac Jack kind of day. I would have asked you guys, if you do get out of here soon, hit that thumbs up for me on the way out. And if you haven't subscribed, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button. I don't think I've had a new subscriber on the channel in a week. A week! That's tough. That hurts the ego. But we out here in a minute, right? Shane says you can play Cousins and Draymond and Cousins on D. I don't know if I read that. I have 5K left for a point guard on FanDuel. Who would you pick? Man, we talked about the tournament lucrativity of a TJ McConnell. He's 5'4", but you only have 5K, huh? 5K or less. Waba might get extra minutes if Waba just might get minutes without Depot, and then if Tucker ends up missing, maybe Waba can sneak into 25 fantasy points in a perfect certain. I don't know. It's literally only Nwaba if you have exactly 5K or less. It feels like your only option is Nwaba. Pete says that Indiana-Atlanta game will be sneaky. Goldfish memory for sure on Trae Young. Stack that game and Brooklyn, Golden State. I'm going to use Houston and New York and Miami, Utah. Supplementary plays. I like that. G. Yali, what's my resume? If you hit me, I mean, you can go to my Twitter. I probably have, in the last couple of years, I don't know, maybe 200,000+ in DFS earnings. Jim Parrish says Randall or Butler. Probably Butler. I think that the answer to that question really is: do you think the Jazz blow out the Heat? I think that's a range of outcome. I don't really think the Rockets or the Knicks have it in them to blow out the other based on the defensive efficiency and pace. If you did think the Jazz could smoke the Heat here at home in Utah, the altitude, big road game for the Heat, then maybe I'm leaning Randall to play high 30 minutes and muscle his way to 45+ fantasy points. But if you thought that Utah game stayed close, I feel like Jimmy Butler would be the absolute backbone of the Heat to make that happen. Mitchell Day, love Gobert. All right, ACP, what do you think of Olynyk? Man. There's been a couple solid 25-pluses from Olynyk lately, right? And if you're just looking for a center that's not going to break the bank, a little bit cheaper than Boogie, maybe. Utah Jazz do shoot a ton of threes, and maybe Miami has to fire back. And if a guy like Olynyk can take advantage of that, sure. He had 13 rebounds against Houston. That seems a little bit anomalic. I think the big typical Olynyk games are going to come from 15+ real points, and then he's sneaky from behind the arc. So if you play him, you plug him in for 25 fantasy points. He's gotten you that in 5 straight. I guess. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't hold my breath for much more, but it's there, right? It's there. Anyway, chat, I got to get into that rundfs.com VIP Discord. Likely no stream tomorrow. Just out of curiosity, we'll see what the schedule is. Probably need one day off, right? Tomorrow, 2, 4, 6, 8. Good Lord, there's a lot of basketball tomorrow. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games of basketball tomorrow. Oh, man. And it's 9 on the main slate. Is Monday short? Why? Chat, I don't know if anybody does Sunday streams. If I gave y'all Sunday, would you let me take Thursday off? I might do it. I might get you guys. We might do some content tomorrow. That's a lot of games. I don't want to leave you guys stuck out. We'll play it. There's no football, right? F it. If I did a stream tomorrow, look at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central. If. Anyway, I'll get in that rundfs.com Discord. I love you guys. I hope you crush it tonight. Send me those screenshots on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.